I'd like to call to order SFSS Council meeting on June 21st at 4:37 p.m. We'll start off with territorial acknowledgement. As always, we respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. Let's go for the roll calls. Do we have archaeology in the meeting? And I will pull up my chat. Archaeology here? No, it is not. Environmental Student Union. Nope, that's another no. Do we have Biology Student Union?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Nick. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you very much. Do we have business? No. Cognitive science. Cognitive science.
They're in the room. Pick up the chat.
I see it. Thank you very much. Do we have computing science?
Hey, my name is Mabel. My pronouns are she, her. All my access needs are met.
What's up, Mabel? Criminology. No crim. Do we have data science in the room?
Hi everyone, my name's Jennifer, pronouns she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Excellent. Earth science? Yeah, I see it. Thank you very much, Edith. Economic Student Society? No, they are not inside. Engineering science?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Kuliat. All my access needs are met, but I may have to leave at 6:30 to help with the ESSS Ultimate Frisbee event.
Oh, let me know how that goes later. Thank you kindly very much. Environmental science?
Hi, everyone. Grayson Bark here. He, him pronouns. All my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Film Student Union? I do not believe so. Do we have gender sexuality? Oh, no. Ash is going to be coming in later on, sometime around 5. For now, do we have Geography Student Union? No, not quite. Unfortunate. Health Science?
Hi everyone, my name is Ishika Rathore. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs have been met.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Indigenous Studies? No Indigenous. IATSU? Interactive Arts? There is none. International Studies Student Association? Another no. Do we have Mechatronics?
Yeah, I'm here, and all my access needs have been met.
Fantastic. Molecular Biology? I see it. Thank you. Philosophy Student Union? What's up, Nava? Thank you. Political Science? We do have political science. I see the message in the chat. Thank you very much. Psychology?
Hi, my name is Hillary. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Welcome, Hillary. Science undergraduate?
Hi, my name is Catherine. I use she, her pronouns, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Fantastic. Society of Arts? In chat. Oh, I see it. Thank you. Sociology and Anthropology?
Hey, my name is Andres. My pronouns he, him. All my access needs are met. Thanks.
Thank you. Software Systems?
Hello everyone, my name is Lynn, pronouns she's her, and all my access needs are met.
Got it. Statistics?
Hello, I'm Van. Pronouns she, her, and my access needs are met.
Hello, man. Sustainable Engineering?
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Excellent. And with that being said, we can move on to yes, constituency groups. Disability, neurodiversity. I see it. Thank you very much. What about out on campus collective? There. Adriana? They can feel more than welcome to put it in the chat later, but right now, do we have Soka? We do not. Okay, then. How about Residence Hall Association? I see it. Thank you very much. TSSU? No TSSU, unfortunate. Do you have to lean a lot? No, okay, fair. Now, exact time. Yo, everyone, I'm Liam Bang, I'm present. He, him, his access needs are just fine. Do we have VP internal?
Hi everyone, my name is Leonardo. VP internal. What's it called? Access needs are met, she, her.
Got
That's
it. Finance.
Hey guys, my name is Chad. Pronouns he, him, his, and access needs are met. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. VP University.
Name is Thomas. I'm VP UAA. My access needs are met. This is from your computer. Yeah, it's coming from Nancy's computer. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, Nancy, VP External.
Hi, my name is Nancy. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you very much. How about equity? Priyanka.
Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the VP Equity and Sustainability for this year, and my access needs are met.
Cool, cool. VP Events.
Hi everyone, name is Io, pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs are met.
Very, very nice. Okay, society staff time. John Walsh is still on leave. Sindhu, how are you doing?
I'm great. Sindhu here, pronouns she, her, hers, access needs are met.
Okay. BD and Hope. Do not think so. I'm assuming not.
You have the admin assistant.
Admin assistant. Oh, you mean Hope? I see the intro in the chat. Thank you very much. Okay, consent agenda, be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. So we have these matters arising from minutes. Pardon. Oh, right, completely forgot about the regrets. We should, wait, wouldn't that be inside the amendments?
You can do it under consent agenda.
Okay, let's do it underneath consent agenda, right? I'd like to ratify the regrets of Emilio, the HSU counselor, Arthi from Behavior Neuroscience, and Joven from Biomed and Physiology and Kinesiology. Yes, and also receive and file the following council and committee minutes from June 6th, seeking unanimous consent here. No dissent, this carries. Thank you kindly. Do we have? No, we have adoption of the agenda. I move. Anyone care to second?
Finance.
Finance seconds to be resolved to adopt the agenda today exactly as presented. Do we have any discussion on this at all?
Go. Liam, wait, sorry. I had to amend the agenda. Just strike 11.6, I believe.
We're striking 11.6.
Yes.
This is one of the elections, if I recall right.
This is, yeah, HRP, since we already did this. We already did this in exec.
Oh, you're right. You are right. I do recall this one. Yep. We should definitely strike it. Priyanka, you would track the list. Any other?
You just second or vote.
Right, but I'm just wondering any other ones. No? Okay, then. I second, seeking unanimous consent to adopt the amendment. No dissent. So unless there are any other amendments to make, be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda as amended. Unanimous consent, everyone. No dissent. This carries unanimously. We can now move on to a presentation that we have today. Abby, you would like to list?
Yeah, apologies. They'll be here at 5 o'clock. So you may want to move on to, if you have a shorter motion coming up that isn't going to have much discussion, you might want to do that first.
Just because by 5.
Yeah, Aaron and I believe it's Selena will be here at 5.
Good to know. Okay then. But until we can get that thing down, let's find a 10-minute motion. This is an election for healthcare committee members. This looks like it can be relatively quickly. This looks like it can be done relatively quickly. It's assign new business. Let's take care of this one real quick. I move. Anyone care to second?
External.
External seconds. Okay, whereas the student healthcare committee's purpose is to ensure that students have input when deciding changes on the student healthcare plans. We have appointed members from the Out on Campus Disability and Diversity Alliance of Women's Center. Whereas the healthcare committee also has 3 designated seats for specifically counselors. Be it resolved to elect 3 to serve on the student healthcare committee for the rest of the council term. Abby's point of order.
Sorry, would you mind if we could just suspend the rules to consider 11.1 first, just so we're following Robert's rules? That'd be great.
Oh my goodness, you are very right. I move. Anyone care to second the suspension of the rules? Please. MBB counselor, thank you kindly. All right, I'm seeking unanimous consent to suspend the rules to take care of the 11.1 motion first. And I am assuming there is no dissent here. This passes. Thank you. And as I have just read this thing aloud, who would be, oh, internal submitted. Leonardo, if you care to, you could speak about this a little bit, just for the sake of clarity, explanation, in case anyone doesn't fully understand the stuff that goes on here. And after that, I can just call for nominations.
To be quite frank with you, I don't know much about this committee. Please ask Sindhu about it more. I have just been told that I need to take care of it and I need to elect seats for it. So there has been some counselors that are already on the committee. Please, Sindhu, help out.
Excellent. Sindhu will be our informant. Sindhu.
Great. Yeah, so this is just in terms of our healthcare. As you know, we try to push this through referenda in the past as well. So having a designated committee will just allow for specialized support in terms of discussing anything in regards to changes regarding the student healthcare plans. And that's why there's also designated members from out on campus and DNA and Women's Center to ensure that everyone has input when this is involved. So on top of that, we also have the 3 designated seats for counselors. So they'll just be working exclusively on healthcare, our student healthcare.
You fellows get to work on healthcare. That is incredibly exciting. I will make the first call for any nominations whatsoever. If there's anyone who has not been part of a committee as of yet, this is an excellent time to do so. MEB counselor. Nominate Sus. That's a very excellent nomination. Sus counselor, what do you say?
I was going to use my list to nominate myself, so I would like to use this list to accept the nomination.
What a wonderful.
Thank you, MBB counselor.
Okay. We're checking Catherine's list. Priyanka, your list?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate myself.
Excellent. Equity. Thank you very much. And after this, Abby, your list?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to speak to this a little bit. I know Sindhu spoke to it as well. Obviously, it's a very, very important committee. We have a really important relationship with our student healthcare brokers. So to make sure that we're covering all the students' needs, if you feel there's anything missing from a current student health plan or anything like that, it's really important you step up right now and join this committee. So just to reiterate the importance of what was said.
Just to clarify, they'd be working with student care pretty closely as well, wouldn't they?
Potentially, again, it's a little bit hazy as I haven't, I've heard a little bit about this last year. Obviously I don't work here anymore, but yeah, I believe at some point that would be the goal. Obviously, it'll be up to the committee as well, how closely they want to work with that, whoever ends up chairing it.
Yeah, student care is the insurance provider we give to just about all the students on campus. They part of their, I think, of student tuition or SFSS fees goes to student care. They pay for things like health and dental plans. Most of what they're known for is just paying for glasses and also cleaning teeth. But they are an insurance provider. They're very important in that regard. Like certain groups. I will look at HSUSU. You are next on the list.
Hi, I would like to nominate myself.
Got it. Excellent. Statistics counselor.
I would like to nominate data science, Jennifer.
Data science, what do you say?
I accept.
Excellent. Okay, written down. Unless I'm mistaken, we have three counselors, that's right. Statistics. Oh, Adriana.
Yep, I'll nominate myself as well.
Okay then. Oh. We got ourselves a group of 4. This involves an election. Is that right? Okay then. Again, exact.
We have a list.
Oh, sorry. Bianca retracts your nomination. I'm terribly sorry, Bianca. Sparing us pain. All right. Because we retract the nomination, we have gone from 4 to 3 counselors. HSUSU, data science, and out on campus. This means we have fit the quota exactly. Beg pardon? Still 4. Oh, I completely forgot about sus. My bad. My freaking bad. No, I was mistaken. Election still holds. And because of this, we go through the exact same election process. We go through all the 4 nominees. They give a small speech about themselves, around 1 minute in length, and then we do a roll call. And if you're, if you feel inclined to vote, you can vote for none of them. You can vote for 1 or up to 3 counselors, and we will count the votes that way. We shall start with the order of the nominees, which would be sus counselor first. Care to speak a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So just a little bit about myself. Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm currently pursuing a joint major in molecular biology and biochemistry and business. So I've always had a passion for healthcare and kind of the relationship between the medical industry and its customers. That's kind of the path that I'm really aiming to strive towards with my joint major degree. And as a student last year during the medical referenda, I found that personally, I felt like there was very limited information available to the student public about kind of the exact details of what the referendum was about. And even when I was applying to SFU looking over the student fees, I found it a little bit difficult to kind of rummage through all the information and brochures and really understand what our student funds were going towards and how it was able to help us and the best way we can take use of the medical and healthcare plan. I think this would provide a really great opportunity, and I'd love to be a part of a team that can be able to work towards kind of better healthcare for students and how we can better negotiate on better funding, better deals, better financial allocation to help as many students as possible. And furthermore, I'm also a part of the Women's Center, helping as a social media coordinator. And I'm very passionate about making sure that our healthcare is as available and accessible to as many groups of people as possible. So I'd really love to have this opportunity to be on the team.
That was incredibly well said. I applaud that. Thank you very much. We have next on the list, HSU counselor. Ishika, you're up.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishika and I'm health sciences major. I would like to serve on this committee because I'm really passionate about this field. I myself intend to go into healthcare field, medical field later on, and I would love to be a part of it and explore myself first and then be able to help everyone out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Very kind. Data science, Jennifer.
Oh, Charles gonna retract the nomination.
Jennifer retract. Wait, what? Are you sure?
That's what they put in the chat. You can ask them.
Jennifer, you sure you retract?
Yeah, I'm retracting.
Dang nabbit, that's unfortunate. All right.
Oh, Sus put a good point in the chat as well.
Doesn't OC already have a seat? Yes, but they do have a seat on a different committee, I'm assuming.
I think they have a designated
seat.
Sindhu's listed.
Oh, yes, Sindhu.
Yeah, so in the composition, it says a member appointed by out on campus. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the council rep.
I see.
Okay, we just have 3, so we're fine.
That is fair. That is fair. So this would mean Adriana is still eligible to apply for it. That's what I understand. Okay, then. If that's the case, then we will not be moving forward with the election because we have exactly 3. And I know I am not mistaken on that one. So we will move forward with the amendment. Be it resolved to amend 11.1, strike H, I, and J, replace with the SUS counselor, Catherine, HSU, SU counselor, Ishika, and out on campus counselor, Adriana, to serve on the Student Healthcare Committee. Seeking unanimous consent here. No dissent. This passes. All right. Motion time. Be it resolved to elect SUS counselor Catherine, HSUS counselor Ishika, and OOC counselor Adriana to serve on the Student Healthcare Committee for the rest of the council term. Adriana, your point of order.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, if the members are the counselors in this case, because I understand that's what's going on, I just got back. Could we add the DNA counselor who is also here as well then?
The DNA counselor. You mean as in a nomination?
Apologies, I stepped away, so I only caught the tail end. Am I being added because I have a designated seat or because I'm being chosen?
No. You are being added because you nominated yourself. And as of now, we officially have 3 counselors. So there will be no
I was
election.
just confused.
Oh, of course. Anyway, yes, you are being added. And yes, where was I? That's right, seeking unanimous consent. There is no dissent. Congratulations, you 3 counselors, you're officially on the Healthcare Committee. It is now 5:02. We can move back to presentation.
Yes, we have Aaron Moretz here.
We have them. Okay then.
Aaron, want to go ahead? The screen sharing is enabled as well.
Right, let me stop sharing real quick. And could you tell me real quick if you have screen sharing privileges, if needed?
Selena, do you?
I do. I will be sharing my screen with you. I've got some slides to share.
Well, that's fantastic. I will tuck myself away. You have the floor.
Hi, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. I'm Erin Morantz, and I'm the Vice President, Advancement and Alumni Engagement. And I'm here tonight with my colleague, Selena Yano, who is our Executive Director of Campaigns. We are currently planning for SFU's next comprehensive campaign. I'm guessing most of you weren't students when we had our last one, which was around the 50th anniversary. But students were very involved with that campaign, and we wanted to give you a bit of an update of what we're working on, and also just ask a few questions about how this group or students in general should be engaged and perhaps could be involved with our plans. So I'm going to turn it over to Selena to give you just a quick presentation, and then we would love to hear your thoughts and feedback and ideas. Thanks.
Great. So hopefully you can all see my slides. Great, Erin's giving me the thumbs up, so that's good. So yes, thanks for having us here today. I've got a few slides here to go through where we are at with our campaign preparations. And there will definitely be time at the end if you have questions about anything that both myself and Erin can address at that time. So without further ado, I thought I'd start off with giving a bit of an update on what the role of advancement and alumni engagement is. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with our department and what we do, but we are in fact the fundraising arm of SFU. We have a dedicated team that works out of Strand Hall, but also decentralized staff that work with each of the business units and faculties to help raise funds for their various fundraising priorities. In doing this, we cultivate and steward donors and alumni, many individuals going back decades now that are big supporters of SFU and continue to be that through alumni activity, but also through their giving. And we raise we raise funds for priority needs that really cannot, there's not enough budget to really cover everything that the university needs in order to advance in various areas across all three campuses. So that's where we work with donors. The last year we raised nearly 35 million, and this year we have a goal of raising 45 million for that purpose. So why have a campaign now? Well, I can tell you that we're definitely well poised right now with us at SFU to be with the introduction of the new strategic plan and all the various activities taking place across our three campuses to embark on what will be our next evolution. Philanthropy is going to play a big role with that. And it's really key to achieving SFU's strategic goals, which are big and bold and very ambitious, but something we're all very excited about being able to achieve with donor support. And so why do we think now is the best time for a campaign? Well, essentially, it's key to advancing of the academic mission of SFU. It also enhances our ability to attract and retain students, top teaching talent and researchers from not only around BC and Canada, but from around the world. To strengthen SFU's brand and reputation as a world-class university and research center, to boost student and alumni and community engagement, of which we're doing lots and lots more of that on a regular basis, and to introduce new research programming and initiatives that keep us current and that reflect SFU's commitment to sustainability, ingenuity, equity, and community engagement. And last but not least, by working through a campaign, we have ambitious goals for increasing our annual fundraising capacity, which ultimately will allow us to fundraise and fund more for what the students of SFU need, well, in the near future as well into the future. So for the last 18 months or so, we've been focused on campaign readiness, and that's involved a great deal of stakeholder consultation, both from identifying what our funding priorities are, what our campaign themes will be, and to taking those steps towards building a really strong culture of philanthropy across SFU and the three campuses and various all corners of the university. We've taken a really good look at what the competitive landscape is with like institutions within BC and across Canada, and how they're approaching their campaigns, learning from what they've achieved or had struggles with their campaigns and what we can apply here at SFU. We've taken a hard look at what our systems and processes and skill gaps and knowledge gaps are, and really focused on building a really strong structure to sustain a very long, comprehensive campaign. Done a lot of work with donor base analysis, prospect identification, gap analysis to identify what do we think we can raise with the resources we have and with the prospects and those we have engaged with us already, and where we think we can expand on that in the future. Of course, alongside of this, we've been working closely with leadership across SFU as it pertains to the new strategic plan. This will be, I believe, I'm told, will be one of the very first, if not the first, campaign that has really aligned its goals and objectives with the overall goals and objectives of the university. And most recently, we've spent a great deal of time doing interviews, meetings, focus groups, surveys, to really test our thinking around with those that are closest to us, our top donors and leadership volunteers and stakeholders across the institution, as to whether we're on track with what we think how we want to approach this campaign, from goals and themes and objectives to also ensuring that donor insights and perspectives are incorporated into our plans as well. And then again, we're focusing on building out that donor pipeline and identifying all the prospects that we can that will hopefully engage with us to ultimately help us achieve our fundraising goal and to fund all the priorities that we are identifying with the university. So I have mentioned about campaign themes. Campaign themes are really intended to guide our fundraising efforts throughout campaign. They've been developed in consultation with stakeholders across the institution. And they're based on primarily based on priorities that have been identified by each of the faculties and business units. And by looking at those, we really noticed that there are some key themes and areas of focus that this SFU is needing to raise funds for, which then help to bring 4 key themes to the forefront of our planning. The one thing to keep in mind is that these themes that I'll share with you in a moment are intended to be evergreen. They're meant to stay the course and drive our fundraising activities through to the end of campaign. So while our fundraising priorities may change, evolve over the next several years, what will be constant is these themes, and ultimately anything we fundraise for should fall into one of these themes, if not more than one. And of course, they align with the strategic plan of SFU. So our campaign themes, the 4 that came to light through considerable consultation and group workshops and discussions are as follows, which is to unlock student potential, to advance solutions for health and well-being, to propel innovation and sustainability, and to enrich lives and learning through art, knowledge, and culture. And underpinning all of this and woven into each of these areas is a commitment from SFU, is SFU's strong commitment to ingenuity and equity. So with that in mind, we're actually in the quiet phase of campaign right now. We started to fundraise or count towards our fundraising goal as of last fiscal, which would have started on April 1st of last year. And we're really in that campaign readiness, organizational readiness stage, and just starting to transition into engaging with those lead donors and campaign cabinet prospects over the next several months to really start to focus in on how can we work together to achieve our goals and objectives. This timeline here outlines where we're looking to go over the next several years. We envision the campaign ideally, if all goes well, wrapping in fiscal year end 2030, which would be March 31st of 2030. That would align with the university's, I believe, 65th anniversary. But in the meantime, we would be going public if all goes well with the campaign, doing that official big launch with the larger community outside of SFU come fall 2026, which if all goes well would align with the opening of the new medical school, but also align with the university's 60th anniversary. There's some other milestones in here, have a lot to do with some of the work that we've done already around planning for campaign, some of the milestones related to some of the bigger marquee projects that we know will be part of this campaign, in particular the medical school, the building of the Gibson Art Museum, and the First People's Gathering House, and so forth. So with that in mind, I want to share a little bit of information about our funding priorities. I've mentioned that we've done a lot of consultations with each of the faculties and business units. This is ongoing. As you can imagine, there's great need, great ideas and opportunities that we want to make sure are all considered as we factor in what we're going to be fundraising for. As of right now, there's about 150 priorities, of which there's a value of about 850 million in potential fundraising needs. Each of these does align with a campaign theme, and they're based on what we know today. And really, that's going to be a constant something to keep in mind, is that everything is based on what we know today, and that the funding priorities are key to that. So this could look a little different a few months from now. We do know there's some key marquee projects in this, though, that do make up a big part of this. But overall, we're continually reviewing these and keeping ourselves up to date through continuous liaison with the deans and leadership across the institution. And so factoring in a lot of data analysis, planning, consultation, we landed on a what we believe is a reachable, yet bold fundraising goal of 500 million. Like I mentioned a moment ago, we plan to raise this by fiscal year 2030, over 8 years. We've already completed our first year. We are about to finish our first quarter of this year. We're approaching about 10% of the goal being raised, which is fantastic. Year-over-year fundraising goals, these are place markers. We expect that there will be ebbs and flows to this based on different priorities needing with different deadlines, but ultimately by the end of by the end of campaign, we do envision ourselves greatly increasing our annual fundraising capacity for the university. And also to keep in mind here is that a number of the priorities that are being fundraised for do warrant and will likely draw transformational gifts for the university, which is a big focus of our energies. So from a next steps with campaign, there's lots of planning. That's what myself and my team do, and I do in considerable consultation with Aaron and others within AAE and at the leadership table. Case development and prioritization is key right now. There's a number of, although there's 150 funding priorities identified, they all have varying degrees of development to be done, but also varying deadlines. So we need to make sure that we're raising funds for what needs to be raised in the proper priority order. We are also actively recruiting and onboarding for our campaign cabinet. This will take the next 6 months or so, with the idea that we will head into the new year with a campaign cabinet in place and ready and engaged to help us with our fundraising goals and objectives. And constant is the building and fostering of a culture of philanthropy process of view, and making sure that over the next many months, as we ramp up to the more public launch of campaign, that everyone across the institution sees themselves in the campaign, understands what we're trying to achieve, and feels part of it in one way or another. And so that's really the end of what I'm presenting about campaign today, but we did have a couple of questions we wanted to pose to this group. And so we're putting this back to you. The first question being, what student needs do you feel, or does this group feel should be funded through the campaign? And what funding priorities do you think may be missing from what we may have heard already or already have a list of things to fundraise for? Perhaps, Liam, you can help facilitate this part of the discussion.
Yes. I know VP Equity had some points to bring up herself, but before we get, I had a small question throughout the presentation. Through multiple times in the PowerPoint, you mentioned building a culture of philanthropy. I was wondering if you could explain a bit what this means.
Sure. Well, a culture of philanthropy is really, in an ideal scenario across the university, everybody would understand the role that philanthropy plays in the institution, what's fundraised by donors, the important role donors play in making certain programs and research initiatives and student aid and such available to students, but also that those who are working at the institution see the needs of their particular area being addressed through the campaign. They see how they align what they envision not to also be priorities with the campaign, and they understand the role that they can play in helping promote the campaign and sharing our messaging around what the fundraising needs are, how to connect with us and partner with our team in particular in helping achieve those goals and objectives. And I don't know if Erin has anything else to add on that.
You covered that well.
Did that address your question?
Oh, yeah, that was just fine.
Great. So any thoughts or feedback, things you would like to see as a group included in our fundraising priorities that you'd like to bring forward?
Priyanka, your list.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I'd love to talk more after if you guys ever have an opportunity to discuss more about funded parties going forward. But just based off the moment, I do know there are a couple of parties that I had in mind from like student feedback I've heard. So one, I would like a focus on low barrier scholarships and awards for students, specifically towards marginalized student groups on campus. I know SFU recently announced the removal of the open undergraduate scholarship. While that money is, I have believe there was confirmation that that money is being reallocated towards students in another form. I believe the push should be for more financial support rather than having it at the expense of other students that were relying on that funding and may not be receiving as much or may not be as eligible. So I think that's a very pressing concern just right now. And I know that's announced for the end of spring 2024 term, but hopefully there's something that can be worked around.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you describe what you mean by low barrier? Are you talking about kind of ease of application or just can you help sort of explain what you mean by that? Because I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, for sure. So when I say low barrier, I think there's a lot of different ways for low barrier. I know a lot of words, some are very trauma informed that require participants to recount aspects of life that they may not be comfortable sharing with the committee or may not be able to articulate as well, and that can impact their award application. In terms of not having a high GPA requirements. So I do appreciate the allocation of the funding towards bursaries in the sense that it isn't super academic based. Because a lot of students may not be able to focus on academics because they're working part-time jobs or supporting families. And that can impact funding as well. But at the same time, I know the open undergraduate scholarship was academic based, but there are also students relying on that front. They are able to achieve academic success in that front because they don't have to rely on working more because the funding's coming in. So for them to be losing that is a bit concerning. So just a greater push for like low barrier access.
Yeah.
Just not having a plethora of requirements to receive that funding.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense.
That's really helpful.
We definitely do endeavor to significantly increase student support through the campaign. That'll be a priority throughout the duration of our fundraising efforts.
Yeah, thank you. And I have a few more that I'd like to mention, but I'll give the floor to someone else as well, in case someone else would like to speak.
Great. And, if you do want to send either Selena or me any ideas, if we don't cover whatever, like all the things people are interested in, would like to see added into our priorities, feel free to reach out to us by email and send us those ideas.
Okay, awesome. I definitely will be doing that. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put my email in the chat here. You guys can.
Yeah. You can put mine in too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. I think there was another list, so I'll let the chair pass it over there, and then I might speak up again.
Sure. With the, I didn't see in the hand. I just saw endorsement of what you were saying. Do you see any hands up, Liam, that I'm missing?
Any hands up? No, but I do know OC Council had a list earlier.
I do, and it is for this. I think I want to start off with a question first, kind of about the scope of the project, which is when you're talking about funding student needs, how much of an interdepartmental sort of project is that? Is that funding looking like specific scholarships or programs, or can that funding be allocated to other service-based departments at the university?
So could you maybe share an example of what you're talking about outside of a specific faculty or department?
For sure. For instance, I know that the EI office in student services, as well as Cal, are facing fairly drastic budget cuts that they are pushing back on against administration. And I know that those budget cuts are likely to have a tangible effect on the student body. So perhaps subsidizing our existing services would be more tangibly useful to the student body rather than something flashy and performative and new.
Right. So yeah, that's I would like to learn more about what some of those needs might be. You know, it's really interesting. Donors come in all sort of shapes and sizes, and you know, some have particular area of interest and others have really broad-based interests, and we can put the needs of the university or of specific groups, students, others in front of them. So the more we know about where need lies, the more we have an opportunity to put those ideas in front of donors as we're talking to them.
It'd be great if you could share a little bit more of that insight. If you emailed that to Aaron and I, we can explore that a bit more.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Wait, Adriana, your direct response.
Yeah, I was just going to add in terms of 2 specific figures within student services that I would suggest reaching out to, and then I have worked with personally and would have the access to know more specifically what the needs are on that side, because obviously they are not SFSS, they are SFU, would be Wendy, the director of Cal, and then Jennifer Kanji, I believe the Associate Director of Equity and Inclusion within Student Services. And I can link their 2 emails in the chat in a moment, but those 2 would both be very important contacts, would be able to give much clearer answers on the need of student services. And if they were not able to give them, would know who to give them.
Yeah, and I have had a conversation with Jennifer a little while ago, but have not connected with Wendy. So that would be great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Bianca, we can move back to you now. Yes.
Yeah, I had a question. So within the current funding priorities that you've outlined, is there funding directed towards mental health supports for students on campus? Is that a focus? And what does that look like right now?
I think that that's been touched upon by a number of faculties have identified funding needs to support that. Specific examples of that would include, I believe there was some financial student funding related to providing programming development for that. I want to think there was something in athletics I know related to that, and a couple other areas, Aaron. I could certainly get back to you, Priyanka, and let you know a little bit more detail about some of the things that have come up. I don't.
We actually also have a health and counseling services fund that we promote through our annual giving program at least once a year. So that's student callers who phone alums and others and ask for donations, and through a direct mail campaign. And I can put a link to that fund in the chat, but it's something that we're fundraising for on an ongoing basis, and will certainly be included in our campaign priorities.
Thank you very much. Bianca?
Okay, yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that, because I know mental health supports have been a longstanding issue with students at SFU and receiving timely care on that front. I've also heard that unfortunately there were cuts to the health and counseling department, and some uncontracted counselors had to be let go recently. So hearing that when we are hearing from students that there is extremely long wait times is a bit concerning. So I'm glad to hear that it is a priority. If there is, oh, sorry, so I got distracted by the message, and I think Adriana's had a message as well. But I'll just quickly wrap up so Liam can get to that. But if there are, if you have more specific information regarding the campaigns on the mental health and counseling front, I'd love to, if you can send it in an email, that'd be great. I'd love to read more into that and adding more insight if possible.
Sure, if you put your email, I can follow up with you, Brianna.
Yeah, for sure. I'll put it in chat right now.
Yeah. I myself had a general question about the campaign as a whole. If I got the timeline right, this campaign starts from 2023 all the way to 2030. Is that right?
Correct.
So that means by the time this thing finishes, it would be long before every student in this meeting graduates, which is a crazy thought to have.
It is a great thought to have. It is pretty standard. Campaigns at universities are that long. You know, when we're looking at a goal of $500 million, but it doesn't mean that over the duration of that time that funds raised won't be put into action. So it's not that, you know, we collect all that money and then it's used. It starts being used as we raise it.
Oh, I see.
They will be staggered. You'll see things in progress well before we start the next fundraising priority. For example, we were saying the new med school would open in fall 2026. So that's a huge funding raising priority at the present moment. A lot needed to get that off the ground. But then when we're finished that, we're moving, and we're simultaneously working on numerous projects at any given time. So.
Right. Okay, I'd like to back
another question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first.
There was another question. I'll wait. There was just one other question we had around participation on the campaign steering committee.
Oh, okay.
That might be something.
I was just going to add up on what Priyanka said. I think I speak on behalf of most of the students here. We highly prioritize funding towards the scholarship sides of things, especially after the recent events that happened. The undergraduate scholarship was getting rid of it was a very, very unexpected move from SFU. They've been doing stuff like this quite a bit recently, and it's a very unfortunate event. A lot of students depend on this sort of stuff, and I don't know. I agree. It was mentioned that they will be moving the money allocated previously towards open undergrad, towards bursary. So while that's fine in its own regard, the important thing about the undergraduate scholarship was, first of all, it has always been there ever since the idea of scholarships existed for SFU. So I feel like it carries a lot of momentum with it. And also, secondly, it is, if I remember, the only automatic scholarship SFU sort of has, where it's not something that you sort of submit a form for. It's something that's automatic for you. You get above 3.67 GPA, you're automatically enrolled inside. Now, you could, making the argument to change the threshold, the GPA threshold of being eligible to apply for the scholarship, and that's a whole different argument. From what SFU says, they are discontinuing it as a whole, not even a temporary removal. They are discontinuing it, period, which is an incredibly strong word to use in this case. And I guess basically, to sum it down, we need as much support as we can get in this regard.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Liam. I only learned about this today, so I share your disappointment, and we will endeavor to try and find donor funding to make up for the loss of those funds. Whether it's applied the same way, that's one thing, but you know, their donors really understand the needs that students have, and are particularly worried about students right now with inflationary pressures, the cost of everything from rent to food, it's a really good time for us to be talking to our donors about the needs of students. So it's a huge priority for us.
Many of our donors have been in your shoes, and so they remember all too I wouldn't say fondly, but they remember all too well what it was like to be a struggling student too. to meet all those expenses while you're still trying to stay ahead on studies. So it's always a compelling case for support, and people get behind it. So we'll see what we can do. The final question we had for you today, unless there's additional questions from this group, was if there's any interest in participating on our campaign steering committee. It would be, we have a group that meets sort of on an ad hoc basis that involves various members of the faculties and leadership team that come together, and it's a way to keep informed about the campaign, but also have be a sounding board and source of input as our plans evolve and change over the coming months and years as we endeavor on these. So if there is interest in that, please reach out, and we can talk about what that might involve and how to go about doing that.
Okay.
And if there's any other
Counselors, you got
questions,
anything you want to ask? This is the time to do it. We can ask for stuff from SFU. No, you guys, you got the capacity to imagine stuff here. This is the time for it.
not wrong.
So Adriana, you got a second list. All right, this is the second and last one. I want to keep this. I want to keep the second to two list rule in just about every discussion item. But go for it. Go for it.
Absolutely, sounds good. Well, one thing I was going to say was that I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, even though I have zero personal affinity for football, that there are definitely huge concerns about what happened with the football program. But instead of a lot of the concerns that have been talked about and have been raised at the university in the past couple months, one that I would like to raise is that the SFSS is still responsible for much of the burden of an arena that's no longer being used. And I would be interested to hear on how SFU envisions that use for the arena going forwards, given that it is driving us into much more financial stringency in the way that we plan things out for the student body, and is a significant burden on our ability to help the student body.
Thanks for that question. What I do know is that the stadium is used for numerous things besides football, including soccer, track and field. There's also a junior soccer program that operates up here. I think some elementary schools used it for sports day this year. So, you know, it does get a wide range of uses, not just football. But your point is well taken, that was something that was funded by the students, and a plan for how to make best use of it in a go-forward basis is something that should be developed, and I will be sure to raise that.
Okay. Bells, are we concluding?
Oh, is that a hand? Oh, no, it's not. Okay.
I think so. Council, are we concluding discussion now? Yikes. Okay. Erin and Selena, thank you so kindly for your time. This was a wonderful presentation, and I agree with you in the way that it is incredibly ambitious. But I think it's safe to say you support us, we support you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for letting us join you this evening. Good luck at the rest of your meeting.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.
Okay.
I hope we
Take
will
care.
not need it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Well, we are back on the train. Let me share the screen a second time, and we are going to go right for it. We have concluded presentation. We are now going into section 10, which would be old business. We can start off with this one right here, funding for SOCA wellness retreats. Would anyone like to move?
I'll move it.
Adriana moves. Thank you. Would anyone like to second? Would anyone like to second? Emmanuel RHA inside the chat seconds. Thank you very much. I will read it out. Whereas the Students of Caribbean and African Ancestry is a constituency group that advocates for African, Caribbean, and Greater Black student population at SFU, with a mandate to voice concerns, plan events, and programs to encourage community building and act as a role models within the community. Whereas in the survey, several SOCA's members have expressed interest in. I believe this is the correct one. Trust me, I could have been showing something else completely different. Homework is just fine. Homework is just fine. Now, where was I? I was in the part where I was talking about in a survey members have expressed interest in attending a mental wellness retreat, whereas the cost for the retreat is beyond what SOCA can financially support alone in their summer budget, where SOCA is requesting a grant from the SFSS Council to fund portions of the retreat, like food, accommodation, speakers, and transportation fees. Be it resolved, the SFSS Council approves SOCA pending grant request, $5,875 from 5,000-G. Now, let us go into discussion, because I can guarantee you all there will in fact be discussion. First of all, Jad, could you please clarify what line item 5,000-G is going to be?
Oh, right. You're gonna need to give me a couple minutes to find that first, but once I get it, I can let you know.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Until then, anyone else have any lists at all whatsoever? Point of order from Adriana. That was from before. Nancy, you have a list?
Hello, hi. This is VPUA Thomas. I'm using Nancy's computer. It says here 5,875,000. The original amount that SOCA requested was 10,000. So I'm just wondering, like, were they able to get funding from some other way, or like, how come if they only need 5,875, then why were they asking for 10,000 before?
That is actually quite a good point to bring up.
Liam, it is from student union grant as per.
Sorry about that. I meant 5,875. Sorry.
As per my friend Sindhu, student union grants, Liam.
Oh, student union grants. That is quite an item to take out of it. Anyway, Thomas, you brought up a pretty good point. I will look in the chat and see if there's going to be a response to that point. No. Emmanuel, I see a direct response.
Yeah, Yaye isn't able to sign in right now. She's having troubles with her login, but I could speak for her. The reason it's now 5,000, it's because initially it hadn't gone through the grant process before going to the staff and all of that, and going through the right procedure and the staff checking our finances properly. The 10,000 had been SOCA's approximate estimate of what might be needed to cover the retreat, with not necessarily exact, but that's what they were asking for, up to 10,000, because they weren't sure exactly what the cost would be. But after much analysis and then the staff checking through everything and figuring out where money can be pulled from, that's why it's now 5,000. 875. Yeah.
This confirms initially that they weren't completely sure how accurate the cost breakdown would be. So in the first presentation, when they brought up the PowerPoint slides for the cost breakdown, then where did those numbers come from? Out of curiosity.
I guess I could answer that too. Again, that was an approximate for, obviously there's some parts in that presentation that were exact, and the parts that did not have exact amount were clearly listed. And then after much with staff checking over, there's been some money that came out from somewhere else. Again, it's not just 5,000 needed for the rest of the tree, but those money did come out from somewhere else instead. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right then. Ayo, you have the next list.
No, Chad and Nancy.
No, not quite.
Direct responses.
Oh, the direct response I see. Yes, Jad.
Perfect. So I just have another question regarding the fund for the retreat. So when looking at you guys' like statement balances, etc., you guys who to talk to regarding this retreat? Emmanuel, is it you?
It should be Yaya, but she's having troubles connecting.
Yeah, she wasn't here
But
today. I don't have her in the attendance roll call.
yes, yeah, but I could take questions if there's any.
Yeah, no, just a couple questions. So, I mean, when looking at your guys' balance sheet, you have, I believe, secured about 12.9 thousand for this already. 500 from core funding, 5,000 from the BIPOC committee, and 4,000 from your Black student levy, including another 3,400 from the SOCA trust account balance. Are you aware of this?
Correct.
Perfect. On top of this, you also do request another 17,000, although it is a little less now. So you guys are spending almost 14 to 17,000 on this retreat. On top of this, you guys also do have an account with the SFSS. Are you aware of that as well?
What do you mean by account with the SFSS?
Like you guys have an account within the SFSS. I'm not gonna blame you if you don't know. It's fine. Not many people do, but you do have an account. So under the SFSS, there are many accounts we have, and there is a SOCA account with under us as well with you guys. You guys also have a certain amount of money in this account as well. I'm guessing you might not know how much you guys have. Did you guys' treasurer tell you about this by any chance?
About what? What do you mean by SFSS account?
There's a bank account you guys have with the SFSS. So each and every semester, you know how you pay SFSS fees, right? Like everyone here pays fees. And from these fees, $1 from these fees goes to the SOCA bank account. So
you're
right
talking
now,
about the levy.
Not the levy, the bank account. You guys do have a bank account with the SFSS. You and I can probably show you this bank account maybe in person, sometime this next week maybe. But there is a bank account you guys have with the SFSS. Every semester, $1 from the SFSS fees goes into this account.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for clarification from Sindhu here because I'm not sure what bank account you're referring to.
Okay, no worries. We can maybe talk with Sindhu together, you and I, regarding this one, and we can go from there. I got these from one of the other staff members. But then again, we can just talk it with like Sindhu together, you and I maybe.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'd like to be in that meeting as well.
I don't think that affects this motion though. But again, I'm not sure what you mean by your SFSS account. Sindhu, do you mind clarifying which account he's talking about there?
Yeah, so I don't know if this was something that came up with finance, but I think you might be referring to the levy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if there's another account, then maybe we can discuss that.
I mean, I think that would be great, but I still don't think that affects this motion. This motion is asking for a grant specifically because it went through the grant process. So whatever that account is that you're talking about, we're not aware of it. And again, this is urgent and this needs to go through at this meeting, even before then.
Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. Nancy, you're next.
My direct response is actually for Thomas. Thomas, you want to take the?
Personally, it seems as though SOCA has enough money to pay for this on their own. So I don't really understand why you're asking for nearly 6,000 from line 5,000 GA. Honestly, I don't really understand it.
Would have been, no, Emmanuel, you have a direct response.
Again, I'm going to clarify here. Again, this is going through the right process. This is not something that, of course, if SOCA could have done this alone, they would have. Again, this has gone through the grant process. Again, for those of you that are new to council, a grant process is pretty normal, expected. When unions, groups want to host events, they don't have enough. The grant process is something they're allowed to go through. And again, this is money that is definitely allocated for events like this. So I get your question. And again, to say SOCA could host this without this would be I think jumping the gun again, SOCA wouldn't have come to council if they could have done this by themselves. Again, I would like to clarify, it's a pretty basic process that I'm sure, again, if Cindy could speak to as well, would be great. Again, it's a grant process that SOCA has gone through, and this is something that's been approved by your staff. This is not something that SOCA just came up to. This is something that was approved by your staff. That means they clearly check SOCA books, and it's obvious that this money would be beneficial to SOCA for them to host the event.
All right. Yo, Emmanuel, just to clarify, going through the proper grant process does not guarantee that the grant will go through. You mentioned that you could have filled this out inside SOCA if you could have. That's fair. However, you ended up in council, and the fact is you are here, and therefore this grant directly concerns SFSS money. It directly concerns the money that comes from students' pockets. Please forgive us if we decide to ask questions. I believe this is warranted. Oh, let's cool it with the direct responses for a while. Otherwise, I was never going to be able to talk. Nancy, you have the next direct response.
Actually, it's UAA, but let's let Io talk first, and then we'll say what we want to say.
Yeah. Io, you're out of the fridge. Go for it. Io, you passed out.
I'm right here. Okay. Okay. My list is irregardless of the actually presented price, and I feel it pertains to a much bigger problem, is the fact that the operations for this started before the grant process was even approved, let alone executed, in the sense that like 5,000 was procured from BIPOC, from the Black, Indigenous People of Color Committee, and was put towards a down payment for this particular thing before the grant process even started. And from what we're hearing, the only reason why it was even granted in the first place was because things were done out of procedure, meaning that in reality, this should probably not have passed at all. And then the request for 10,000 then came before a proper audit of the costs and everything was done, and as to what the SFSS is supposed to be liable for, which worries me. I feel that it's necessary to reiterate to every counselor here that they should take it to their constituency groups or DSUs or FSUs, that should they want to have a project done that's going to require money that's coming from the grants, that they have to go through the correct processes before starting anything. Because now what we're looking at is a 5,000 that cannot be acquired anymore. It's gone to the down payment. Even if this thing is canceled, there's no way you can get that money back. That's a problem. And that's a major problem that I feel that we need to deal with. I understand that there are supposed precedents set in relation to what happened with the SFU storm hacks, but they did go through the process and they did everything, and they were more or less guaranteed that amount before they made the payments. In this case, we weren't even aware of anything that happened before payments were made. And this is effectively tying us down into some sort of dilemma in which, regardless of which way it goes, money is going to be lost. Mm-hmm. And if the initial bid had been approved, that would have been $4,125 more than we needed to have released. What would have happened to those funds, I don't know. And I don't feel like I'm at liberty to ask. But at the same time, I feel like it's a major issue that all that was done before the funds were even approved. And I feel like it's a major issue that no one came in to step in. No one from the SFSS and no one from SOCA came in and stepped in and said that we should make sure that we have all the funds ready before we spend any money on anything.
Thank you. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. The list of direct responses would be Nancy. No. First it would be Emmanuel, and then it would be Nancy, and then it would be Emmanuel, and then it would be Nancy again.
No, you cut off direct responses on the previous list.
Yes,
So it's
and then
actually
I-
just Emmanuel and then Nancy.
Just Emmanuel and then Nancy. I recall these two would cycle back. So Emmanuel, Nancy, and then Emmanuel. You know what, Emmanuel, go for it. I'll figure this out.
Okay, yeah, I guess, again, to clarify, I know you have some questions about, again, the people putting together this project. Obviously, we're not aware of the original grant process that they need to go through. So that's why they had come to council first. And then once they learned about the right process to go through the grant, they went through it. And then I know you had questions about what if the 10K had been approved. Again, the way the grant works is that it wouldn't have been, even if it's approved, SOCA doesn't just take the whole money. It's going to be based on their expenses. So again, the 10K was just up to, because SOCA wasn't yet sure of everything that's going to be required, because again, the money was very urgent for them to get through. Hence why they felt the urgency to come to council when they did. And then again, once they figure out the right cost and work with the staff and figure out the right cost and process, they went through that. And that's why, again, this is coming back to council after the much needed wait. And then we've gone through the process. And then you also mentioned this going back to why didn't they come to council first? Again, I've never saw a group needing to ask council for them to get approval to run an event. Again, and the BIPOC money you're referring to came from last year's budget. And once they approved that, that was when they discovered that it wouldn't be enough because of the extra cost that came up. Hence why they came back to council for more. So the original intention wasn't even to come to council again after the BIPOC, but it was until they realized that that wouldn't be enough. Hence why, and at that point, the project had already started. Hence why they came to council when they did, because of the urgency. And because of that, council wanted to go through the right process. So they went through the grant process and got it approved, and that's why it's back now. So again, to emphasize, that's why it happened the way it did. But yeah.
All right then. Nancy, your next direct response. Unless you're Thomas the second time.
Yeah, it's actually me. First off, I want to say we were supposed to have our direct response first, but we're not gonna sweat it. But it was supposed to be us first. Okay, just throwing that out there.
My apologies for the injustice.
Thank you. But I want to make a point that first off, it wasn't initially SOCA did not initially try to use the grant process when they first asked for the 10,000, which of course we already said is not the way to go. But on top of that, we gave them extra leeway with this because we're not supposed to do Airbnbs here, but we even allowed that with this. And on top of that, as Io said, we shouldn't be paying substantial, large amounts of money without ensuring that we're going to be able to use it all. So to pay all this money for the down payment for the place without even securing it beforehand was really a stupid move. And honestly, I'm not sure I really get behind this if we're going to, because I feel like if we allow this, then we're just going to continue, how do I say it? It's going to make a bad example. You know what I mean?
Setting up a precedent. Yes. Emmanuel, your direct response. Oh, sorry. Io, forgive me, I forgot. Io?
Okay, well, honestly, when it comes to the grant process, honestly, I couldn't care less about the process of going through the grant process and everything. My main issue is that this, in the fiduciary sense, is not the best practice. Again, for starters, this is 5,000 that came out of BIPOC. BIPOC's budget for the previous year was 10,000, which meaning that the 5,000 that came out of BIPOC was half of their budget. And my main issue with this is the fact that half of their budget came out into a project in which the costs were not completely calculated. And if BIPOC, say, needed this money for a project or an event or something, they wouldn't be able to reaccess it because this money was then put into a down payment, which we cannot recoup. My main worry is the fact that this happened and no one stepped in to stop it. Because the main worry last year was we were burning money. Like we were genuinely just putting money into everything and anything without a proper vetting process. And we peaked in our deficit we crossed the million line for the first time since COVID, which is very worrying. And then it then comes out that all of this occurred without a proper review of the books, without a proper review of the rules, without a proper guarantee of where the funds were going to come from. And I'm more worried about the fact that all of this happened under a set of leaders. And my main headache right now is the fact that this happened and it's still being treated like it's just another day. And I would wish that at least there will be some responsibility taken, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of money. Like BIPOC's budget we'll see the budget eventually, but I tell you BIPOC's budget for this year has been halved. So if that money came out of the current budget, they would have nothing left to work with for the rest of the year. So I need you all to understand that it's a lot, and we can't be moving this kind of money without taking everything through the proper vetting process.
Thank you. Thank you. IO has directly responded, and then it would be Emmanuel.
Yeah, again, I would like to clarify that first off, I don't think, again, you should have a stay on our BIPOC committee, whoever was there decided to use their funds. I mean, that's what the committee does. That's they get to choose based on the initiatives that come through them, how they want to allocate that fund. And again, I don't think that has relevance to this again, because you bring in things that individuals that solely decided, okay, based on what was presented to them, that it was something they believed in and they wanted to allocate that funds into. And I know you mentioned they shouldn't have done it because, again, to clarify, SOCA had already taken all of these into consideration. And again, all of the money is not just for the down payment. And I think that's something that's been misunderstood. This is not just for the down payment. It's for transportation, it's for food, it's for the facilitators. So it's not the money that SOCA had approved wasn't just for the down payment. And again, the money that was paid to down payment was already considered. It wasn't that SOCA didn't know what the overall costs were going to be. It was just that some costs came up post that they didn't foresee. So it wasn't a lack of planning effectively. It was just costs that came up that they did not foresee coming. So, and again, I think that's why they came to council once they realized that they needed more funds to run the program. And I mean, if you want to go into whether they should have been approved by BIPOC, again, that's something you could figure out and dive into later on. But again, I don't think that has anything to do with this motion asking council to approve a grant of $5,000, $875 to help one of the CGs run an event that already been started because they saw interest, and then they also received funding from last year's committee to fund the event. And again, just reminding council, this is not something out of the ordinary. It's a really normal process to ask for grants to run an event. And again, it does not affect your decision making, whatever people might think on whether SOCA should have been approved. Again, this is something that council has the ability to approve. So, yeah.
Thank you. Io, you are the last direct response. I will list very quickly and then we will move on to voting.
Sure. Okay, I think you misunderstood me. I don't care whether or not someone feels it should or shouldn't have been approved. I don't care where you got the money from. I'm more worried that of this idea that you got the money and then somehow a contingency came up that you hadn't accounted for. Contingency is fine. A $1,000 contingency, I fully understand. A $10,000 contingency is excessive. And then for that $10,000 contingency to be reduced to $5,875 is also worrying, because that just shows a complete lack of availability to check the books properly. And it shows a complete lack of respect of the fact that we have limited resources. And regardless of whether or not this passes, I'm very uninterested in that. I'm more interested in the fact that this was a process that went through under the SOCA leaders, and no one decided to step in and say, let's make sure that we have all the numbers together before this was taken to any committee. You said that like it doesn't matter because BIPOC is a matter of individuals, and I disagree. BIPOC represents the Black, Indigenous, and people of color, meaning that it represents at least 8 or 9 communities within SFU. As such, the fact that you're taking 50% of its resources should be taken with more, which should not be taken so lightly. And after that, my main issue, I don't care whether or not you get this grant. That honestly is the least of my concerns. My main concern is all of this went on, all of this happened, and the grants were just coming in as separate requests. And the reasoning is the people who were making all these calculations before did not make the complete calculations. That worries me, because then we're gonna have other people doing that, other people feeling free to do that. And before you know, we're gonna burn through our cash like we did last year. That is a situation that we are not ready for. That is a situation that we cannot afford as of this moment. And it's a situation that I need every counselor here to be aware of. It's frankly, it's irresponsible, and it's very unfair to the people who have to deal with the books, and to the people who have to go through these processes, and to the people who have gone through these processes. We as a community should understand that if we're going to go through a project, we need to be able to bring that project properly and well to the people who are going to vote on it. Because at the end of the day, you are bringing it you're not bringing it to a completely different body. You're bringing it to your peers. You're bringing it to a council of your peers to judge it. And they're going to judge you based on the trust that you have done your numbers properly. So when something is brought forward to council without its numbers done properly, there is a problem. And we need to acknowledge that that's a problem. And we need to be able to admit to ourselves that somebody messed up. And we need to admit to ourselves when somebody messes up, that these things will not happen again. Because this is a phenomenon that we cannot be having over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. Io, like I said before, the discussion list is not going to be closed. I guess, that being said, though, I feel like I'll put a bit of my own input on this just before we get right to voting. You are a counselor here who has no idea what any of this is, or has no idea what's going on, or you're probably doing homework at the same time as in the council meeting. Even then, you probably still figured out that you probably figured out the entire exec team's opinion on this. And I would clarify, my opinion's not really any different. I'm gonna make this clear on record. I do not support it. Here's my justification as to why. They mentioned the first presentation inside the last council meeting, the cost breakdown was going to be 10K, not 5K. This was an indication that the cost breakdown was not going to be accurate. They had no idea how much these things were going to cost. They overestimated by twofold. I want to make this clear, though. If we had agreed to this grant before in the first council meeting, we would have given a whopping 10K. We would be giving in a $10,000 instead of $5,000, which is humongous to me. And these kinds of things have consequences these kinds of things have humongous consequences that are not small at all whatsoever. I remember VP Finance just talked a few minutes ago. He mentioned an account with the SFSS, SOCA's account. from Jazz reports, they are, and basically, from what I see, the main reason why he even brought up this point in the first place was, well, in my opinion, it does have some relevance to this motion, because it's trying to clarify exactly how many sources of revenue SOCA has. More importantly, how large those sources are. SFSS is in some sort of a deficit at the moment, quite a bit, $1 million deficit. And we want to make sure that the funding that we provide is given to those who are in positions where they need it. And basically what finance, and this is what I see, basically what finance was trying to establish is what kind of position SOCA is in at the moment, and whether this is something that is of immediate priority. Io had mentioned a very good point beforehand that was also mentioned in the first council meeting, the down payment. The down payment that they previously paid, around $5,000, was non-refundable. This may be true, and if this is the case, my condolences. However, I don't see this as an ideal argument to make, and the reason why is because even though you could have wrapped this up inside SOCA, you brought this to council, this concerns students' money, and the SFSS, I don't want the SFSS to hold itself accountable for the financial decisions made from a constituency group's part. Even after recognizing that this is an immediate situation and you wouldn't be able to get the down payment back, in a way, sort of sounds like you're holding your money hostage. I don't know if this is the best wording to put it in, but all right. I'm getting multiple different messages from multiple different people. I think I'm going to stop off. I think we're going to go to a vote now. That everyone's opinions have been heard. The vote itself must be completely democratic. We will be going through, we're going to go through roll calls order. Let's just be clear. You can either vote for, against, or abstain. And this is concerning the SOCA grant motion. So if you are going to be voting for it, this would mean, like, basically you're approving the grant. You can vote against, that would be, denying the motion. And if you feel like you don't have enough info on the topic, and that's big if, then it would be an abstention. I'm hoping that information is clear for everyone here. Yeah, I think so. So without further ado, I think we're going to go into voting. We're going to start off with Archaeology Student Society. No, right, they're not here. Environment Student Union. That is against. Do you have a marker? Here's a Japanese pen. It's smoother that way. You have the tally up? Yeah. Okay, anyway, Tiana, we got your vote. Thank you very much. Biology Student Union. Biology? Oh, okay. If they don't respond, we mark them as abstain. Is that correct?
Passive abstention, so we're not counting them, but we can come back to them if you want.
Oh, okay, understood. Let's go back to Nicholas soon, but for now, we will move on to cognitive science. Cognitive science, Uban. Uban abstains, very nice. Computing science. Computer science abstains, very nice. Where am I? Oh, yes, criminology. Against. Do we have data science here? Yes. Oh, goodbye, Jennifer. Earth science. Is earth science in the building? All right, make a note to come back for earth science later. For now, we're going to move on to economics. Not here? Okay. Engineering science. That is against. Note the tab space. Environmental science. That is one abstain. Do we have film student union? No. Right. Ashley,
Gender studies votes against.
that's one against. Geography. No, geography is not here. Health science. That is against. Okay. No. Forgive me. Indigenous studies. Oh, wait, earth science mentions, okay. Do you have indigenous studies here?
No.
No, we do not. I remember IATSU is also not here. Is that right? All right, international studies. No, okay then. Mechatronics.
Against this grant.
That is an against. Molecular biology. Sam, MBB.
We are here.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I am against.
Against? Okay then. Do we have philosophy? Do we have philosophy? No, we do not. All right. Political science. That's one abstain. Psychology.
We do philosophy here.
Do you have psychology? Oh, political science. Did we mark down political science as
Yes,
well?
I have political science, I have psychology.
Okay. Political and psychology. And science undergraduate. Society of Arts, social sciences. That is an abstain. So sociology and anthropology. They are here, is that right?
Let's check. Oh, they're entering the room. They're in the waiting room. They're just coming in.
Okay. Hello, sociology. We're voting on something at the moment. Oh, the abstains. Software systems. That is an abstain. Statistics. That is an against. And sustainable energy engineering.
Against.
That is an against. Do you have DNA counselor? No, we do not.
Oh, abstention.
Oh, abstention. I remember out on campus is also an abstention. Mark that one down. Is SOCA in the building? 4, very good. Residence Hall Association. Emmanuel? Do you have TSSU?
They did pop in somewhere.
Right, I do remember. No, TSSU says abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're right there. SFP, IRG,
No.
2E? No, not here. Okay. I think I made it clear beforehand. I myself am against. VP internal?
Against.
All right then. VP finance?
Against.
VP university?
Yo, honestly, as a I'm a vote in favor actually.
Okay, bold. VP external?
I'm gonna say against.
All right. VP equity?
I'll be voting against.
All right. Events and student affairs?
Abstain.
Abstains. All right.
You want to go back to bio info?
Yes, I do want to go back to biophilosophy. Yes, biology student union. Would you like to vote? No, you said philosophy?
Yeah.
Let's go to philosophy.
Oh, they abstained.
Okay. Does this conclude everyone then?
just philosophy, so that was bio that abstained.
Did Nava vote, Liam?
Nava?
I did not record Nava's vote.
If she did, then I did not see it. I apologize.
I'm trying to keep tabs on this as well. I didn't get Nava's vote in my list.
Oh, we're all listing stuff. Okay.
So yeah, just Phil, that's it. Everything else is covered.
Nava, are you here? Philosophy?
That's fine. No,
This will be a pass of abstention.
I can give the count if you like.
All right, all right. What's the count?
We have 3 in favor, 17 against, and 13 abstentions. That, of course, does not include passive abstentions, so the motion would fail.
I see, I see. Jed, the same thing was on your end?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, then. With that being said, this motion is gone. We can now move on to new business, which is, no, we already did 11.1. 11.2 is modifying council meeting time. This is submitted by VP Internal. I move. Anyone care to second?
External.
External seconds. Whereas council meetings should be flexible to council member schedules, be it resolved to strike R 7.6 and replace it with, it is suggested council meetings shall occur Wednesdays starting at 4:30 p.m. and ending at 8:30 p.m., but will be up to the discretion of council at the beginning of the council term. Meetings shall occur on a bi-weekly basis. Well, in case, unless anyone else has any discussion, I guess I want to just recap a bit on this beforehand, because in the past council meetings, we talked a little bit about this motion beforehand, and the general consensus was we will keep them at Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Many people have already pre-allocated their Wednesdays for this specific time slot in preparation for this role as a council member, and multiple councils have done this task, and I guess in respect to that, we will be keeping them 4:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. It doesn't seem to be a humongous conundrum for the average person's schedule here. I don't see any harm in it. Yes, I agree. It will not be that strict, which I guess overall is a well enough intention. So it's a harmless motion. I'm assuming any more discussion? No. Okay, then I'm seeking unanimous consent for this one. There is no dissent, so this carries unanimously. Fantastic. For governance composition, this is by gender, sexuality, women's study. Oh, yes, I recall this motion. I move. Anyone care to second?
Gender studies.
Gender studies, second. So whereas the governance committee is crucial to the ongoing procedures and functions of the SFSS and is chaired by the VP Internal, whereas the VP Internal was not consulted on certain changes made to the governance committee, whereas changes to the governance committee composition have increased the minimum quorum count, making it challenging to meet quorum, be it resolved to amend the following governance committee terms of reference under council policies SO-5 under composition. So you have the president, the VP Internal, 4 councillors, and a policy and research coordinator who would not vote in motions. Ashley, you have a list.
Yeah, I figured I would explain this motion a little bit as the submitter. Essentially, the idea here is to return the composition of the governance committee back to the way it was previously. As mentioned in the motion itself, the VP Internal and the VP Equity were not consulted on these changes. And there's been conversation of simply just returning it back to the way it was. If we decide in the future that we would like to substantiate these changes or make more changes, there's always room to do that. But by and large, this is to allow the governance committee to run smoothly and to ensure that we are doing consultation before we make changes to someone's committee.
Very nicely put. Any more lists, fellas? No more lists. I think it's safe to vote for unanimous consent on this one. I see no dissents. So this motion will carry unanimously. Thank you kindly. Oh, yeah, let's approve this year's budget. I move. Anyone care to second?
Internal.
Internal seconds. Okay, whereas the 2023 to 24 annual budget was developed in the spring term and approved by the 2022-2023. So last year's Board of Directors on April 28th as a preliminary budget, whereas bylaw 6.13 requires council to approve the final budget, but no later than June 30th each year. Be it resolved that council approve this year's budget final document as the final budget for the rest of the council year. I see. No, actually, that was beforehand. So I see the first list would be MBB counselor.
Hey, Liam, can I propose an amendment to this motion?
Oh, sure. What's the amendment?
In addition to the budget, to task the finance committee to prepare a report to be presented at the August 2nd SFSS council meeting on potential cost-saving measures due to the, well, quite significant deficit. And as much as I want to make sure that the society keeps running and we pass our budget, I'd also like to make sure to have some oversight on that and have the finance committee review potential measures to save.
So correct me if I'm getting anything wrong. The amendment would be to, along with everything included in this motion, we would also task the finance committee to prepare a report to the second SFSS council meeting. And the idea is to report the significant deficit we are in at the moment and also review potential measures in response to it. Is that right?
No, it wouldn't be to report the deficit, it would be to look at potential ways to, potential cost-saving measures we could take as a society.
Potential cost saving measures. Yeah, I see. That's a pretty good request. I think I'm going to put this inside the chat. Just to be clear on what the amendment would be. Is this right?
It would be the August 2nd council meeting. So just over a month from now.
August 2nd.
Oh, right. How in the world? That's right. I'll see if I can delete this. Nope, that text is gone forever. I cannot copy and paste anything in Zoom. A report. Okay, while I type that up, I see actually you got a second response.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a, right now, I'll just speak to your mic. I just want to take a quick direct response to clarify exactly how you want this amendment to proceed. I think it's a wonderful amendment, but to be clear, you're adding a second be it resolved clause to this motion, adding that you would like a presentation about solutions to this problem on August 2nd. Just to clarify, like, language-wise, that you would like a be it resolved clause added on to the end of this motion. Assuming that is what you are moving.
Yes, it would be. I can type it up in the chat as well, Liam. If you would like
I've got it. I got this. No worries.
Thank you for the response.
Says current deficit. Yes. So what do you think? And even then it ain't perfect. Be it further resolved.
Also, perhaps another quick amendment, that isn't the next council meeting. August 2nd is not the next council meeting, you just mean at the August 2nd council meeting.
Oh, it is not that my bad. You know what? Maybe I just shouldn't type stuff anymore. All right. Goodbye, Tony. We are all in general understanding of what the amendment would be.
Sam's the DR.
Oh, Sam, you have a direct response?
In the piece you put in the text, it said be it prepared for the meeting.
Yeah,
it's to prepare a report for the meeting.
Oh,
just for the
yeah,
text.
Yeah. Anyway, the amendment would be to prepare a financial report to the next is it the next council meeting or the August 2nd one? It is the August 2nd one, which is far from now, but it is still the August 2nd council meeting to address cost saving measures. And yes, that is still a very reasonable request. Seeking unanimous consent to adopt the amendment. I forgot to ask for a seconder. Will I second? Seeking unanimous consent to adopt the amendment. Yeah, that's very nice. So let's get to the motion. Be it resolved that council approve this year's budget final document. Oh, I should remember to email this out to councilors just for sakes of it. As the final budget for the rest of the council year, and be it further resolved that the finance committee will prepare a report for the August 2nd council meeting to address cost saving measures to address SFSS's current deficit. Seeking unanimous consent. There is no dissent. This carries unanimously. Congratulations. This is another committee election. I see. Okay, I move. Anyone like to second?
Gender studies.
Gender studies, seconds. Whereas the nominating committee is responsible for providing council with formal recommendations relating to appointing at-large members to committees in consultation with all council committee chairs and vice chairs. Be it resolved to elect RNS councilors to serve on the nominating committee for the rest of the council term. Very nice. Internal, you know, I'm going to ask a few words on this committee.
Again, I would like to pass it off to Sindhu to talk more about it, just because I am not chair of any of these committees that I have done these motions for. So I apologize for not being able to speak on them, but yeah, Sindhu, please.
Completely understand. Sindhu, would you like to save us?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's fairly self-explanatory here. The nominating committee will be the group that's responsible for appointing at-large members if there's an overabundance of applications. So almost every single committee calls for a certain amount of at-large members, and we put out the call out for those at-large members last week. So for example, if a committee can only have 3 at-large members and 17 apply, then this would go to the nominating committee to narrow down and select the at-large members. So this would be kind of similar to the elections here. They would have their own process and you would elect those members to those respective committees.
Thank you very much. All right, nomination time. I'd like to make the first call for nominations. Would anyone like to nominate themselves to nominate other councillors? Nancy, your list.
I would like to nominate myself for this.
The external. This would be my second call for nominations. Abby, your list.
I'm going to be very blunt here. I know there's concerns about committees. This is literally the committee with the least amount of work you can humanly do on a committee. So if you don't have a committee and you don't want to do work, just sign up for this.
I couldn't come up with a better pitch. Fellas, there's zero work involved in this one. This will be my second call for nominations. Ava, what?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I'd like to nominate myself.
very nice. Okay. Have we written down? Io.
Okay. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, I got a quick question. We didn't have this last year, and as such, I think it was up to the committees to more or less do the pick from the pool by themselves. So I was just kind of curious as to why, since I feel like there's a lot of committees and I feel like there's a lot of different things that different people are looking for, especially on their committees. I was just wondering why we're now reducing it to a single committee this year.
Good question. Abby?
I can answer that as I was on the committee last year, just to clarify, the committee did exist, but ultimately the committee is just there to give recommendations. I know events picked their members by themselves last year, and I think you're still more than free to. I think, I'll be honest, this committee is fairly redundant, but if you just want some help vetting out members, if your portfolio is busy or if your committee is busy, I think they're a good resource. Yeah.
So just to clarify, the nominating committee does not conduct the decision-making themselves. They are advisors.
Yes, they're just recommending. They can't force anyone to put anyone on any committee.
And they do not vote. Well, they are counselors, so they can vote that way.
Well, it depends if they're on the committee. So let's say if we're recruiting events at large members and they wanted to hold a vote to do it, although there is no like formal way, like you can choose to appoint people via an election within your own committee, or people are just like the chair just chooses who they elect and they can do it through formal motion. Ultimately, they're just there to recommend people. So yeah, it's up to, if they're not on the events committee, for example, they can't force the events committee or vote for anyone. It's just they can vote for recommendations.
Yeah, understood, understood. Thank you. All right, all right. I think I was on my second call. I would now like to do the third call for nominations. None. Very nice. So be it resolved then to strike R and S from this motion, replace them with VP External Nancy and Criminology Counselor Ava to serve on the nominating committee. Seeking unanimous consent. There's no dissent. Passes. So actual motion, be it resolved to elect VP External Nancy and Criminology Counselor Ava to serve on the nominating committee for the rest of the council term. Unanimous consent, everyone. Fantastic. This carries unanimously.
You struck that one.
He struck, oh, I remember we struck this one way at the start of the agenda. Oh my dear goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we might have speed round council. It's Q&A time.
That's it.
No, I think I still keep the recording on, but for now, I think I'm just going to suspend the rules. No more listing, no more listing or stuff like that. You just open up your mic and talk. Leonardo.
I think now we should take a moment to just like ask counselors how they're doing in their departments and everything, if that's okay. Do we want to do that?
Exactly what I was thinking. Yes. Counselors, in case I wasn't clear, now's the time to complain about stuff.
Okay, like we can go down what's it called? The agenda and roll call and just, I don't know, pick on people if you want, Liam.
Oh, we're gonna do it that way.
We want,
All right, we're gonna do it that way then. Okay then.
because council is supposed to be more about us actually getting to know what is happening in our student departments and like, hey guys, is there anything wrong? Is there anything that you guys need help with? Anything that we should be aware of? I don't know, just talk at us. It's not just about passing motions. I know that that's what we've been doing for the past 2 hours, but that's not really what it's all about. So, oh yeah, we can spin a roulette wheel. No, I mean, we can just start off.
Do we have a roulette wheel prepared?
Sadly. We don't, sadly. Next time I'll prepare one. But yeah.
I like the idea of randomly calling on counselors.
I can do a random number generator if you want.
I'm not quite sure about the roll call idea going down, because the whole point of that is to be as fair as possible, but under the case that we want to end the meeting somewhat earlier, and I think I speak for a lot of people that we do. I
Phil has her hand raised.
don't know if we should go through every single person, and if we end halfway, then that means, well, it's not quite
Hillary.
fair. Hillary, you got a hand raised. I see it.
Well, I figured I'd just put you out of your misery. It's not exactly my jurisdiction, but I thought I'd share anyway since my DS2 is part of this. But SAS is holding a, what's it called? Rainbow Skittle picnic or something with a bunch of other DSUs under FAS. Where basically each DSU I think comes to a picnic just as a different color. Like I know that psych students, for example, are gonna be wearing navy blue. Yeah, like Aaliyah and Ashley obviously are involved in this, so they can probably speak more to this. I have never been an event planner for the PSU and never will be because I'm terrible at planning, but it's gonna be really, really fun. Lots of other fast DSUs are gonna be there. So if you are a student in any of the DSUs coming, which I think is economics, philosophy, poli-sci, criminology, maybe even. I don't know what PSSU's color is. Aaliyah's there. You can probably ask her instead. Yeah, and Crim is coming. Crim is orange. So it'll be really, really fun. So yeah. I know a lot of us are probably taking at least one fast course. So yeah.
That's actually a very excellent piece of news. Rainbow Skit. Is this anything Pride related?
Not explicitly.
Again, I did not plan this event,
Oh, okay.
so I cannot answer any questions.
Fair enough. This is
Also,
my
we are
first
actually
opinion.
going to be planning a hike at the beginning to BMP, Burning Mountain Park. So if you want to, go on a hike too, get some exercise, get some sunlight.
You lost me at exercise.
Well, that's good for you. So yeah, it'll be fun.
There is free food. That is a very, very, very eloquent point to make. Thank you very much, Aaliyah. Okay. See, good news like this is the stuff that we would like to hear. All right, time for random calling. Let's just go. I'll just pick from the book here. Engineering science. Any potential issues you might have to address whatsoever.
Tony left, actually.
Tony left. It seems they are perfectly happy with the way things are. Fantastic.
I move to remove Liam as president of the SFSS.
Shut the heck up.
He has presented an ultra
Silence.
obvious leaning
This is Q&A session. Motions don't happen
patriotism
here.
and nepotism towards the engineering.
Oh, you still calling? You don't even know what nepotism means, my guy.
Yes.
All right. Well, I don't. Educate me. Yeah, that's why I thought never frequent. That was a genuinely random call. Let's go. Who else? Yeah. Do we have computing science here? Rightfully so. They must have left as well. Let's go. Who else? Who else? Ah, yes, mechatronics. How are things going on that end?
Mechatronics is all right. Like we had a pancake breakfast yesterday. Everything. I just had a question. So like us as counselors, who do we work for? Is it for SFSS or is it for our student union?
Oh, bit of both. Like if you're a counselor, you're part of the exec team of your student union. You go to council with the SFSS and you work with them by addressing issues from your student union. So you are the representative for your union of students. You know what I mean? So like you're mechatronics, right? So you go into council meetings and any potential issues or motions you want to make on behalf of mechatronics students, they will be coming from you. You'd be serving the SFSS in that way, but your interest would lie in your own student union, if that answers anything.
I see. Yeah, that was good. Everything else is good.
Fantastic. Hillary?
Less happy round this time, but I just wanted to ask, do you think like, the whole open undergraduate scholarship thing ending next year, like, do you think we have any influence in that? I know that this is probably more of a UAA committee kind of question, which I am on, but like I figured I'd just ask anyway right now, given that, it is a Q&A and nobody's talking. So yeah.
That is an excellent question. I can tell you from myself what I'm doing. I am still trying to figure out exactly how much influence SFSS would have over this matter.
Yeah.
SFSS and SFU, we don't exactly have a very beautiful history of completely getting along on all the right things. And this is another one of those examples. SFU, well, from the way they've been communicating, they sound pretty adamant with the decisions that they're making. They are using the language of discontinuing, not temporarily discontinuing period, which is a very scary thought to have. Mainly, the main thing we can do is just voice our concerns about it for sure, and then possibly ask for scholarship funding to be compensated from other sources aside from SFU. That's also another potential issue. But as far as convincing SFU to do what we want them to do, that is still a difficult question, at least from my eyes. I'm going to look at the lists we have. You retracted your list. Oh, Priyanka.
Yeah, so, oh, sorry. But yeah, so I serve on Senate and I'm on SFSS, which is the Senate Policy Committee for awards, scholarships, and bursaries, which is where this came up. Everyone on SFSS voted against this motion. Unfortunately, Senate isn't in control of funding. They can make recommendations to the Board of Governors or to the write letters to the provost expressing their discontent. So what's happening right now is that SFSS deferred the motion to the Senate floor, so it's going to come to Senate in September. You probably have more information than me. In terms of student advocacy, it was expressed that if students are upset about this, making a push for it might help influence the provost's decision. For right now, I know Liam mentioned the wording. It was initially discontinued, and we are asking for it to stay suspended, so that's not completely off the books, and we can try to advocate for it to come back. So yeah, I think it's something we can try to get involved in. I just don't know to what extent right now. So I think the execs are going to try to be figuring that out soon. And then I'll pass the floor back to the chair or Abhi.
Oh, Abhi.
Yeah, just to speak to, I think Priyanka summed it up pretty well. The one thing I will say is this hasn't come up at the Board of Governors yet, at least in an open session that I could speak of. It hasn't come up yet. If it does, and I'm able to provide input, obviously, I think everyone here is on the same page that we'd rather have this money here for students than not. So I'll be sure to voice that. But neither at SCAR, which is the Agenda Planning Committee, which is happening next week. And if there's any updates from there, I'm happy to provide them at council, but or at Board of Governors, we haven't had any discussions about this yet.
Right. Get off your phone. You know, I found out from someone, Joy Johnson makes more money than Trudeau, which is still such a baffling thought to me. There is the prime minister, and then there is the president of a single university in BC. It's incredible. Yeah, I agree. But it only makes me wonder, how much do the other presidents at other institutions make? Can you imagine the UBC president? My gosh, they must be rolling in it.
I think actually Santa Ono or whoever the new president is makes more than this one. Also, Abby, if you eat sushi every day 3 times a day, I can guarantee you will get sick of it really quickly.
Incorrect.
I'd like to directly respond.
I think if you eat any specific food 3 times a day, every day, you would get
Although,
sick of it.
I would argue if I had to eat a food every single day, 3 times a day for the rest of my life, I would say salad, because salad is just chopped up food. You can change up your salad. Like you could make a burger salad, okay, with like, you know, croutons and then
Yeah,
like
but you want
lettuce.
something with no flavor inside of it. I propose rice. Rice. You can't go wrong with that stuff. I've been eating it 3 times a day for the past, what, 15 years? I'm still going. Abby, your direct response.
My direct response was to Hillary's query saying you could not eat sushi 3 times a day without getting tired of it. I strongly disagree, as sushi comes in many forms and fashions. There's appetizers, especially if you consider Japanese cuisine as a whole. There's alternatives like gyoza if we're talking sushi. There's I think it's oshi that's cut.
Gyoza's not sushi.
Okay. I'm just saying you can get it at a sushi restaurant. So I'm including all that. I'm including like seaweed salad and all that. I'm considering all of that. And admittedly, the one time I did eat sushi 3 times a day, I did get food poisoning, but that's because it was from a bootleg joint. That was my fault. I was trying to save money and it was from a bootleg joint. So yeah, that's my comment.
Thank you for that. Hillary. No, sorry. Ishika.
Hi, so this is a little off topic. So one of our executive members in our student union brought up an issue which is not related to us. And we don't have enough information yet. So I wasn't sure if I should be putting it on agenda or anything like that. So I'm just gonna put it out here for y'all and I'll just read it off. So so there's like trans equity efforts are happening across the campus, and there's an initiative happening led by an SFU staff member to advocate for benefits for gender affirming care to be included in the health plan packages. So they're looking for undergrad student groups to support their efforts and representing it. So I think they just want us to like sign it, or I don't know how they want us to help them, but this is something that was brought up in our meeting. And if you guys are interested, I can talk about this to them more and bring it up again.
I will have to see about this with the rest of the execs later on, but normally something like this, it would first come as an email to either me or one of the other execs. And then depending on what specific action they want to pursue, this would probably come in the form of a council motion.
Okay, I actually have no idea about this. This was just like brought up in our last meeting, and they were like, if as I'm representing my student union here, so they were like, if I wanted to bring it up to you guys, and I was like, I would need more information. So since it's just Q&A, I was like, I'll just put it out there for y'all.
That's smart. Okay, Nancy.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask which staff member you spoke to.
I did not speak to any staff member. One of our executive members did, though. She did. Oh no, sorry. She did not speak to any staff member. She just attended their meeting, and yeah.
I'm so sorry, but could you like explain a little bit further on which meeting or who you actually spoke to about it?
I did not talk to anyone, and I actually do not have that information. That's why I'm just bringing it up here. If you guys are interested, I can go talk to the member in our student union. She was the one who attended their meeting.
Oh yeah, no,
Sorry, go ahead.
we just spoke about it beforehand because UBC passed the same exact thing. So there were some rumblings around like passing the same thing at SFU, but nothing was really like concretely spoken about. So it's just, I was just wondering who you spoke to, or where you got any like information from. But yeah, it's if people want this is what we need. Like, we just need more information. So please, please, please always feel free to reach out to us, especially like Ashley said, yeah, feel free to reach out to me, especially VP Internal and VP Finance, because we are working closely with student care. So yeah.
And me as well. I love having more emails.
Okay, sure, I will. I'll get back to you guys when I get any more information about this.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay then. Did I skip over anyone's list?
I don't believe so.
Just Nancy's DR, right?
No. We just went through Nancy's DR. Nancy was actually Leah, by the way. She's got like 3 separate people speaking from the same microphone. My gosh. Oh, right, 4.
Or 5. Too many.
I might as well speak from their laptop as well. If you all would like, I say we can cap off discussions, Q&A early, move on to adjournments. Would everyone like that? Unanimous consent? Fantastic. All right. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 6:55 p.m. I move. Anyone care to second?
Equity.
Equity seconds. Seeking unanimous consent. Fantastic. There is absolutely no dissent. With that being said, we have officially ended the meeting, and this is, I think it's a speed run. I think it's fantastic. Quite difficult to beat this sort of time. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. You all have a good night. So long.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.